This is my heater. I dare you to hit it.
He'll be sorry.
Want the heater? I'll give it to you.
Basketball, maybe they don't hit it.
A swing and a drive to deep right.
Clear the deck. Cannonball coming.
Left field. It is out of here.
What's up? What's good? Flax is making me laugh before we really even start recording here again, but I'm glad he does. Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. Guys, we got a great slate for you today. Some opening thoughts and what was a wonderful interview with 12-year Major Leaguer, 2004 All-Star and Silver Slugger shortstop Jack Wilson. Excited for you guys to listen in. And we will also be bringing back one of your favorite segments, Best Season You've Never Heard Of. But as always, we start where we start. Flax, how was your weekend?
Weekend was good. We unfortunately did not win our men's league game this week, but big news. First home run on the pod came from our very own Ryan Mallinger. Pieced one up today. I got to be on deck when it happened. I looked at one of my teammates as soon as he made contact and said, "Oh, that's gone." And it was very much gone over the left field wall. For those of you who want to see the swing, go ahead to YouTube and our live stream from this week. That'll be up there. We will make sure that we show it on the live stream for everyone to see 3 or 4 times because he absolutely pimped it. So weekend was good in that respect.
It was cool to feel like I did something. What none of you know that I've told Flax maybe 100 times is I've probably pimped 7 or 8 non-home runs since the last home run I hit. So I'm glad this one went out. And no, I don't know why I do it. It just happens. But I don't know.
I like that it's a reflex, to be honest with you. Like it should. I'd rather that be the reflex than like sprint out of the box on a ball that like is going to go off the wall, which no coach will ever tell you. That is the opposite thought process that a baseball coach would have. But I like it for you.
Well, luckily for us, low stakes men's league, had it hit the top of the fence, I'd look like an idiot and been standing on second base. But this time around, it made it over. So we're happy about that. You guys will see that on the live stream, hopefully. Flax, opening thoughts this week. Where are we at?
Yeah, opening thoughts this week. It was rivalry weekend. We had the Subway Series. Juan Soto was back in New York. Back in the Bronx. And it just brought up a lot of feelings for me on Twitter about Yankees fans. I just need to repeat what I said during the Juan Soto episode earlier in the year. The shortest time he will have ever spent in a uniform will be with the New York Yankees when his career is said and done. He owed that team nothing. He did what was best for him, and there is nothing about tradition that was ever going to keep him where he was at. That is just the facts. And the fact that I continuously see Yankees fans on Twitter, I see John Boy Media, they're like, what are we going to do? Are we going to boo him? The whole bleacher creatures, they turn their back to him. Like, what are you servicing there? What's the intent there? Because to me, I think it's a bad look on your fan base and tradition. I think it speaks to other players that maybe were thinking that they'd want to be a Yankee in the future and say, I don't know if I want to go to a place that I may end up leaving and then I got to deal with that nonsense for the rest of my career. I don't think you're helping yourself. But more than anything, that's what I've known Yankees fans to be my entire life growing up, a fan of a team in the AL East. And they just are par for the course. So it is what it is. So that's that. Those are my opening thoughts. Fans of teams, cheer for your team. Be happy. And let's stop going overboard about everything and anything you can think of because it's just not worth it.
Yeah, I think there's probably a point where it's a little bit too much, and Juan Soto is an elite talent. There's no question about it, and it sucks for any team to lose Juan Soto. Listen. My argument is that
Been there, done that.
We didn't get to keep him in DC either, and we were a little bit more endeared to him, I think, than even New York was. So. At the end of the day, people are going to do what they're going to do.
You actually won a World Series with him.
We did.
Oops.
We'll call that a zinger, and we'll move to my opening thoughts. And my opening thoughts are a little bit more on a did you see that coming, which is the Minnesota Twins, prior to today, won 13 straight games. 13 straight games. They did lose today, taking their record to 24-20. But we did want to highlight this real quick, or I did, because, listen, not only did they win 13 straight games, but their last 3 games of this winning streak, their starters went 19 innings, 7 hits, 15 Ks, and they threw, as a team, 3 straight shutouts. That's filth. I mean, if their rotation could do things like that, the 3 starters who did this were Paddock, Lopez, and Joe Ryan. So guys that they expected. Well, one was against the Orioles. No, one was against the Orioles and 2 were against the Brewers.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, for the shutouts.
Okay, well that's...
So, regardless, the Twins, they look like they've got some gas again. Losing Byron Buxton the other day doesn't really help, but Royce Lewis is back playing baseball. He hit a home run today in their first loss over 14 games, and he also had one robbed, so the bat's coming back for him. Brooks Lee is in uniform and playing baseball for the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah.
And my favorite one of all, because I just didn't see this coming, who over there turned Cody Clemens into, like, I don't know, pseudo Barry Bonds for a couple weeks?
It's weird because it's not like you would have said, oh, he left a place that wasn't good vibes. Like,
No.
he got traded from Philly. Like, Philly's absolutely a place where he could and was fairly successful, but getting over to Minnesota and, like, starting to play some hot baseball, and he was a big catalyst in a couple of those wins they had in Baltimore, and it's fun to see him start doing that because it's what we've expected him to do. He's actually a pretty versatile defender across the field, which is nice for them. We know how much Rocco Baldelli loves to put guys in 9 different positions. So he fits the mold for the Twins, but it's the Royce Lewis effect. If you go back and you look at this team when Royce Lewis is in the lineup, and unfortunately it hasn't been that much, they win ball games.
Oh, 100%.
The season he played the most was the season they went to the playoffs with Baldelli. They played extremely well. He is kind of an X factor, as much as Byron Buxton is and Carlos Correa are. Like, when he gets in the lineup and he gets going, or when he's in the lineup and the vibes are just moving in the right direction. Plus, that pitching staff is doing everything we expected that pitching staff to do. The names you mentioned there, right? Like, those are not guys we expected to be middle of the rotation guys.
Paddock, to be fair, Paddock is all of a sudden stepping up. Paddock has had some rough years, but Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan needed to be this for the Twins to do what they needed to do.
3 of them. Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez, and Bailey Ober.
100%.
When the 3 of them can get going and Chris Paddock can follow behind them and just do his job, and the offense, it's easy for them because they know they're going to be in the game every night. This is what you expect. If Chris Paddock is your 3 or your 4, he's doing what you'd expect your 3 or 4 to do. He's doing better than that.
Let's be clear, too. Paddock is a high upside guy. Paddock was at one point in time a top 15 prospect in all of baseball. This is nothing I have against Paddock. His results just haven't been what they wanted at the major league level from an overall standpoint. So I agree. Real quick, before we roll on anything else, I do want to throw this out there because for anybody who's you really just brought up Cody Clemens because you haven't necessarily watched what's happened over the last 14 games. Since he's been there, by the way, 14 games, so 1 game prior to the winning streak, because I do not believe Baseball Reference is uploaded for today. 14 games, slashing .303, .395, and slugging .636 with 3 home runs and 8 RBIs, 2 doubles, kind of
This might be the
breaking.
best clip of his career at
the major league level. I would have to agree. So listen, it's been pretty impressive, and it's nice to see because the Twins were just were underperforming what we expected them to do early in the season. But this is why we continue to preach patience with most fan bases in these scenarios, guys. April and May are a crapshoot. That is how baseball works. You're going to have the perennial teams who you know are going to be good from the previous year, who are probably going to play at a level you expect. But all the midfield guys, you've got no idea. So here we are. We'll see if the Twins can continue it.
And also, just in baseball, and you kind of mentioned it there, but getting to the middle of June where you are somewhat around 500 baseball, or maybe a little bit above, that's the goal. Getting to June in a place where you can start to make a better push, where you can get yourself to the trade deadline, especially now with as many teams that make the playoffs, that's all you're trying to do. Yeah. So they kept themselves in a position where now a winning streak starts to propel them into an even better spot, where holding on or finding level water is a lot easier. also the expectation and the upside because of the things that are getting them there, which is better pitching, speaks to the chances of you continuing to go on that upward trend. Because at some point you expect the offense to continue kicking into gear and the pitching maybe falters a hair, but everything kind of evens itself out. That's the expectation, at least.
Putting themselves in a much better situation than they were 14 games ago.
Yep.
So, either way, guys, that's opening thoughts for the day. Let's move right into this. We don't want to take too long here because our interview with Jack Wilson was awesome, spectacular. What a great guest he was, and we're excited to share that with you. So, without further ado, enjoy our interview with Jack Wilson himself. Thank you so much for being on. Guys, we're really excited today. We've got 12-year Major League Baseball veteran and 2004 All-Star, 2004 Silver Slugger, Jack Wilson with us today. Jack, welcome to the podcast. We're excited to have you.
No, man, I'm pumped to be here. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Of course, of course. And listen, we are a baseball podcast. Our name is Baseball on Stitch, but we're going to start with probably the most important thing we could do today. And we really want an update on your Warzone career, and we're looking to find out where your KDs are nowadays. We're just trying to get a real good understanding of what that's like, because I used to stream video games for a little bit out of college, and used to be good, but not anymore.
Yeah, I'm well behind. It's if I'm in a squad, I'm definitely the one that's just pointing out people and just being like, hey, I think they're over there. I just got shot about 7 times, so if you can kill them and come save me, that'd be great. I'm the guy dropping money so they can buy me back, that type of thing. And then hopefully, I'm actually got pretty decent at the gulag, so it's that's really my one kill of the day, I think, is when I went in the gulag. Actually, I'm a big campaign guy. I love the campaign parts of the games. I'm big into like movies and stories and stuff, and I die on the campaign. My kids make fun of me because I'm like, I'll play the campaign before I do anything else. And then I get online and, 6-year-olds kill me. Like
you are the developer's favorite player because that's why they build that. Like that's what they want the people playing the game to do.
I love it. I love every bit of it. I mean, back before your guys' day, I'm a little older than you, but before there was Call of Duty, there was a game called Medal of Honor, and that was the first, before Call of Duty. I think Call of Duty saw that and they like, let's do it. But Medal of Honor was really cool because you were actually doing missions in the game that they did in the war that they were talking about at the time. So you would do the mission, and then they'd show you highlights of that mission of how it happened back then in between missions. So it was like a video game / history lesson all at the same time. And then Call of Duty is like, Call of Duty is like, we'll make a game like that too. But we're going to make it like 100 times cooler, so check this out.
And we were going to make sure that everybody got to yell at each other in the chat because that was going to be the most fun part that they did at the end of the day. So.
Absolutely. That was like the very, very start of like the internet play where you can get on with your friends and stuff like that. And so that was really when video games and internet play was starting to go crazy. So, but I remember that first one. I was like, man, I really liked Medal of Honor.
That's awesome, man. No, and we are old enough to remember the end of Medal of Honor and the very early Call of Duty, so you don't have to worry about that part. I remember sitting in my buddy's basement playing literally the first ever Call of Duty and just getting excited that there was something to do like that.
No doubt. I think before that, you had to link up your own consoles and like have separate TVs, but you did link up with each other's consoles and have like garage parties with people to play.
Well, you hammered that, right? My buddies and I used to joke about it. Even in college, we would do it. We would all take our Xboxes. We'd go to one place, and we'd find any monitor we could, and we'd have a LAN party because you had to connect everything together to make it work.
Good old days. These kids don't even know.
They have no idea. We were just talking about the other day. My sister's 11 years younger than me. She has no clue what it was like that time period. They've got no idea. I love it. Well, heck yeah. So... love to hear it. I'm glad you're still rocking and rolling there. Like I said, I'm not any good either. Every 6-year-olds beat my butt all the time in those damn games at this point.
I exclusively play. At this point, I just exclusively play the show because it's just I just have never been good at those first person shooter games. It didn't come naturally to me. But the show that feels right. That I can handle.
No doubt.
You did play college baseball, so you are supposed to have a little idea of how to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. You got to show it off, man. Where's the show? Denison won today.
Big day.
Let's go.
Won their first game in their regional.
Beautiful.
That's
awesome.
Love it.
Oh yeah.
So, Jack, one of the things that was really fun at the beginning of the year, and as we looked back at your career, and we got to grow up watching you, you were an awesome player. You were one of the grittiest guys on the field all points and times. But
Thanks.
one of the things that they talked about early with Jacob this year that I relayed back to your career was he had a stretch where he wasn't walking at all. And it was just very aggressive at the dish, putting the ball in play and forcing everybody to make plays. You did that your entire career. It was very obvious that you were never up there to walk. I wanted to learn a little bit more about your plate approach and talk about, I'm the analytics guy on this podcast, and a lot of people talk about walking and different things of that nature. But as a guy who, for me personally, I was undersized the entire time I played, I wasn't there to do that. I was there to put the ball and play hard and show you why I deserve to be there. So curious to hear a little bit more about your approach at the plate.
Well, I mean, for me, I never was a walker like my whole life.
Sure.
You were going up there to hit. And honestly, when I got to the big leagues, why would they want to pitch around me? Like, they're going to attack me because the most likely is I'm not going to do much damage if they leave something over the middle. So they're not really go ahead and hit a single. Go ahead and hit a double. Great. If you hit a homer, then whoa, something just happened. That's pretty cool. But and it's the same thought process. They're going to attack you in the zone because they don't want to walk you. They feel like, I was a 265 career hitter, I had a couple good years, but for the most part, they're more worried about the damage that's behind me or anything like that than worried about me per se. So I knew that they were always going to be coming after me. But hitting in the big leagues is really difficult. And so a lot of times too, I wasn't a big strikeout guy and I wasn't a big walk guy, but it was just the fact that I was going up there trying to do something offensively to help my team. Obviously, being more of a defending type player in my career, I was just knowing that they were going to come after me, I was aggressive because I knew they were going to go ahead here, have this. And if I got hot, then they might, spin it a little bit more. But for the most part, they're coming after me. So I was very comfortable with saying, all right, might as well jump on it, give it a whirl. So, Jacob's a little bit different. Jacob actually is a lot more patient hitter than I was. I just think when all that came out, I was, people would ask a lot about the walk. I'm like, listen, that's not always going to be that way. I promise you. He's really good with his eye. He's a lot better than I was. But in your rookie year, it is so difficult to just take everything in, facing pitchers for the first time, see the shapes of their pitches. I can say he throws fastball slider. That means absolutely nothing. How does it look? What's the shape of the pitch? So we get to learn all this stuff. And when you find something that works, you do not do anything different in your rookie year. If it works, keep going. So he would ask me, he's like, what do you think about the walks? I'm like, absolutely not. Not right now. If it's swinging and you're swinging early and it's working, why would you change anything?
Right.
Now, is that going to be his career? Probably not, because now you're seeing, since that time, he's at 8 or 9 walks because he's seeing pitching more and often. He sees guys second, third time around. He knows what it looks like. He had a 3-2 slider last night against the Dodgers that he took for ball 4 that I swung at 100% of the time. And he just went, nope. And I'm like, and that's what I remember him in high school and college. He has that eye, but I told him, dude, if I'm you, I'm doing exactly what's working now because it is so hard to find a groove your rookie year. Yeah. And because everything is so new. So that's why for me, I'm like, he's not always going to be that aggressive, in my opinion. I think the more he plays, the more pitches you see, the more big league at bats you get. You get familiar with these pitchers and what they look like and how they pitch you, and then you get more selective. That's just the process of being a big league hitter.
Do you think the level of – we like to look at it from the outside perspective and say the level of stuff is just gotten so much exponentially harder to hit. The ball's moving like you'd never believe. And I almost think a level of patience is so highly rewarded nowadays for hitters that can recognize pitches in the zone, because there are pitchers that throw so hard or they spin the ball so much, they get away with a lot of guys and a lot of pitches that are nowhere near the zone because guys are just up there hoping they get something around the plate to swing at. Do you feel like that's changed a lot since you played, or do you think that it just wasn't as talked about?
I just think there's more throwers now and there was more pitchers then. I think the best pitchers are the guys that have the stuff plus they know how to pitch. And I think I just watch a lot of guys throw really, really hard and throw their slider as really hard as you can. And those guys used to be like the closers we used to see, like 2-pitch guys.
Right.
And I think your really high quality starters now are the guys that have a little bit of both. And but it's also too you get to the point where there's so many strikeouts now, and that's whatever their approach is, that personal player. It's kind of don't want to get to 2 strikes when guys are throwing 93-mile-an-hour sliders. Like, I mean, come on, like
Right.
that stuff. That was rarely did we find someone that threw 100 in my 12 years. There was maybe 3 or 4, like a Billy Wagner
Right.
or Anderson from the Detroit Tigers in early 2000s, that type of stuff. But it was like they were 2-pitch guys, but they were closers, and it was really hard to hit, but because they threw so hard, and it was so different than everything that we saw. Nowadays, like everyone says, the stuff is better, like you said, but the stuff is normal in a sense.
Yeah.
If everybody's throwing 97.
Absolutely. It's
You're
what
going to
they
hit
see.
97 because it's just what you're seeing continuously. What made closers in my day so good is that our starters were 91 to 93, sometimes 88 to 93, and then you had to face 98, which was so out of the norm that it was like, oh my gosh, like this. How does anybody hit 98 miles an hour? We haven't seen it, but now these guys see it all the way from the time they're drafted. Minor leagues, 97 is like the new 92. It's just the way that the game has evolved and the way that everybody throws. So I just think it's interesting watching guys like Freddie Freeman, who just played against Jacob, who was my teammate in Atlanta, watching them two play on the same field together and watching like what he's been able to do because he's lived the old school kind of 88, 91, 92 movement, a lot more pitch select. Like guys are throwing 4 or 5 pitches with movement to now where it's the velo. And he's obviously been amazingly successful at that, but he's kind of lived both eras, the super high pitching, intelligent area of pitching to more this like velo, kind of just let it rip type of pitching.
You almost never see Freddie Freeman take a pitch off in terms of like taking his A swing, and I think that's it, right? Like that's why a guy like that can do it for so long and in so many different eras is like his eyes and his ability to pick and select what he wants to swing at, and then say, "Hey, when I'm going, I'm going."
Yeah,
and then
absolutely
doing damage the way he does it. You can throw 98, you can throw 91. If you're going to be over the plate and it's the pitch that Freddie decided he wants to swing at, he's going.
Well, and you nailed it in the head too. We're talking about a guy with thousands of big league at bats. I mean, and he stays inside the ball probably better than anybody, and that's what allows him to be successful. He stays inside the baseball, but you're talking about a guy. I mean, it was his rookie year when I first got over to Atlanta, and the guy just knew how to hit. He stayed inside the baseball, used the center of the field, pulled homers on off speed, and hit fastballs to right center, left center. I mean, the guy was a brilliant hitter at such a young age. But like again, it comes back to like what you're saying. The patience has to come back to guys that have been there for a while and understand and have seen that stuff for a period of time. You're going to find the most patient hitters are most likely guys that have been there for a while. Like the young guys, you're just hanging in there, man. I told Jay, like, this is your rookie year. You just got to hang, bro. Like, just hang, get your time, and, like, get your at-bats. Do whatever you do to help the team win, whatever that is. But I'm like, it's a huge learning experience, and if you can get through it on the positive side, that's just going to make you even better going forward. Because this is a lot to learn. I'm actually happy he's over his last 7, to be honest with you, because like you got to learn how to come out of something. And up until this point, I'm like, bro, you haven't had a dip yet, and I'm like, this is good. And you're facing Logan Webb tonight, awesome. I mean, that's nasty too. So this is really good for him to how to figure out how do I get out of this rut and face a good pitcher and keep helping my team win. He's in the leadoff spot tonight, but this is part of the learning experience. Is like, man, how do you get through these little bumps in the road as a major leaguer when you're going to be out there every day? So these are the kind of times where like he's really bummed he's over his last 7, but I'm like, this is what makes big leaguers how they react, how they play defense when they're struggling, how does their body language, all that stuff, So this is this time where you really get to learn a lot about yourself and how to be a professional.
So let me ask you, because this is something that we've talked about a little bit on the podcast. Do you feel as if right now there is this emphasis that, and it's because of guys like Juan Soto and some of these guys who have just come up and bam, they are superstar immediately. Do you feel that major league teams have not been as patient with some of these young players as they need to be to allow them to learn and grow through some of their struggles? Because it feels like a lot of teams are just up and down and up and down. And I understand there's options and how we build our roster, but you can't, for me, I see it as something of without consistency and allowing these guys to learn how to deal with one failure, right? Especially at the major league level. How are you supposed to improve?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you look at those teams that are doing that, they're usually not in playoff contention. So they're figuring, why don't we just let this guy get up here and fail up here and learn up here rather than putting him in AA or AAA and letting him succeed. And in hopes that has to do with a lot of character too. They have to know their player. Is the player strong enough to come up here and struggle? Is he going to be okay? And usually you're talking about the college guys. The college guys have been through that. They've played a long time. They're usually big-time college players. So I think a lot of you look at, okay, if we're not in an area that we think that we're going to compete, let's get these guys up now and see. Let's let them go through the rough road now, and in hopes they'll end up turning out good. That was me with Pittsburgh. I didn't go to AAA. I went right from AA to the big leagues, and they're like, hey, probably doesn't look like it's in the card for us. Let's just get this kid up here and let's let him learn on the fly with these veterans and stuff like that. So I do think that college baseball is so good now that some of these guys are already really close to the out of the draft.
That's crazy.
And honestly, and I love it too. What you're talking about too is those guys that overwhelmingly show that the minor leagues is not it for them. Like like Nick Kurtz was overwhelmingly like, okay, why are we just going to leave this guy down here getting 500? Might as well let's get him up, because the first base, we had Soderstrom there. I say we because
no, it's we.
It's
you played long enough that you get to attach yourself to whatever team you want and say we. There's no.
I'm a huge A's fan, and it's not just because of Jacob. I love watching this team, and I'm sure we'll get to that. But I think it's more so the fact I worry if you rush a guy that you simply got because you paid him a bunch of money in the draft. He's shooting 250, 260, and he hasn't really shown. Those are the guys you want to – like we had Dustin Ackley in Seattle, right? And he was a second overall pick, best college hitter.
Big Dustin Ackley fan here. Yes, watching him in North Carolina was amazing.
Yes, loved him, but they rushed him big time. He was like a 270 guy in the minor leagues, and we put him in the show. We're like he was learning how to play second base. He didn't have enough time, but like, hey, might as well let's get him up here. And that was a career that didn't work out for him. And I look back and be like, man, if we'd have just let him become a dude in the minor leagues and then bring him up. I mean, we brought him up. He was like 270 in AAA. We put him in the 3-hole day one. And we're like, wow, okay. Well, we know he was great. He was a great kid, really good hitter. But, like, it was just one of those things that really never worked out for him. His career never got to what we thought he could have been out of the draft. Even in the minor leagues, like, he would come to Bailey Camp. He was awesome. But it was like, all right, you got to prove without a doubt that he's ready, not just because we paid him $8 million in the draft. It'll happen for him. Just let him get some success. And I think the guys that we've seen over the last couple of years have had, look at Dylan Cruz, like he had success. Yeah. So they're like, hey, let's get him up here. It wasn't because we spent the second overall pick on him. It was more the fact that, okay, he's definitely holding his own down there. Let's give him a bigger challenge. So I think there's a little bit of that too. And, I enjoy watching it. It's refreshing to see these young guys. It's completely different than, the fact that you get drafted and like less than a year later you're in the show. It's pretty nuts.
It's crazy.
Like you said, like a Noah Chanel from the Angels. Like I spent like a month in the minor leagues and he was in the show. And honestly, I think he works out. He's got a nice inside-out swing. He stays inside the ball, but that was really fast. Good for you.
Ryan Johnson this year didn't even play any minor league baseball, and they put him on the active roster.
We were joking if the Angels take Ivar Arquette in the first round, how soon is he in a big league? Is he in a big league uniform? And it could easily be the start of 2026.
Well, they started the trend really with Zach Neto, right, out of Campbell. Yep. Like it was like bam, like less than a year, and that was unheard of. We're like, well, hold on. You've seen some pitchers in the past go from college, really short stint, and go right to the big leagues. Some relievers. Yep. I remember the kid. I don't know. What was it? Hannigan, the left-hander from TCU.
Yeah, from TCU with the Royals.
And he pitched in the College World Series and the Big League World Series in the same year. Like that, So for pitchers, it makes sense, right? Plate's still 17 inches.
Yeah.
If you can pitch, you can pitch. But like when Neto got up, you're like, dang, that was really fast. And then Chanel was like, wow, that was light speed.
But it's so fascinating because those are two guys that like. Even right now are consistently doing a good job of hitting big league fastballs, putting bat on the ball, like taking good at bats. And maybe there's something to what they're doing and kind of just letting guys learn trial by fire. But it is wild. And then you have Christian Moore, who is SEC Triple Crown winner, and they moved him to AA right out of the gates. And he's done just fine. But I think barring injury, he'd probably be on the big league club right now. Because why not?
For sure. I mean, it tips off to their scouting report, or their scouts. Like they're looking for a certain. They're maybe not looking for the best player. They're thinking like, who's the guy that can make the impact the fastest, And so far, those two, they've done a really good job with that.
And to their credit, we went back to and we talked about a little bit earlier. The other thing the Angels have done, in reality, is they've also been very patient with those guys.
Yep.
Both of those players have gone through stretches of not necessarily hitting great, and also, to be fair, not playing great defense too at times with their at bats affecting what they do defensively. Because when you're young, that is part of baseball for a lot of people.
For sure.
So I totally agree that it's really fun to see that it is working for some people. It's not working for others. I mean, Langford came out of the gate that same year and made minor league baseball look like a freaking little league show, right? Yeah. And then he came up and, to be fair, he did struggle a little bit. Right. Again, the patience to allow him to come into himself and be the athlete that he is. I mean, Langford is an out-of-this-world athlete with that size.
He's going to be a superstar, no doubt.
I think so, too. We wanted to ask you, so a lot of flux for your former club in the Pirates right now. You also, when you were there, happened to go through a managerial change with Lloyd McClendon. We're curious to your thoughts on, Paul Skeens came out right after it and said, listen, we weren't super surprised. We knew it might happen. Now we got to go out there and play baseball. As somebody in that clubhouse, what was it like in a managerial change? What was the mindset for the players? How do you move past that and get back on the field?
Well, I think, too, the main thing is we're all out there trying to make a career, right? We're all trying to suit up every day and do the best we can to hang with the best in the game. And that in itself is a really tough thing to do. Managerial stuff sucks. Coaches getting fired sucks because you do feel kind of personal about it. Like, if we would have played better, like, these guys would have jobs. And they would be leading their family. There's the whole other side of not just baseball, but it's like, okay, he's picking up his family, he's moving back home, he's like, their lives get turned upside down, and that's part of the game, that's part of the job, that's players and coaches. But, I went through it with Jim Tracy as well, even after him. I think I had three managers and 4 GMs in the 9 years that I was there. So a lot of turnover there, and it sucks because, they're people, and it's a tough business, both playing and managing and coaching and being a GM. That's all really, difficult stuff to do. And, so you feel bad in a way, but at the same time, hey, whoever's running the show, like it's Donnie Kelly now, who's a former teammate, which is really cool for him. But it's like, okay, the next guy's up, and you just kind of feel him out. What is his style? What does he like to do? Because everyone's got a little bit of different style of how to run things, and then you just kind of conform to that because you want to make sure that you're on the same page with them. Especially with being with Lloyd, I was there. I think we were 3 years together, and then a couple with Jim Tracy, and then I had John Russell. So. 3 completely different managing styles, three different people, and you just try to make sure that you understand what they're asking you to do, so that you can help them do their job.
I imagine it was also really tough just because Pittsburgh is such a great sports town.
Oh my God!
And when that team is good, the people show up. For sure. I know this. I'm an Orioles fan, right? So I know this game. Yeah. When the team is good, the people show up, and Absolutely. It is like nothing you've ever been a part of. And when it's not going well, I'm sure as a player you can feel it. You can feel it because there aren't as many people in the ballpark. You can feel it because it's probably not as fun to go to the ballpark every day. Even though you're a big league ball player and you're getting to play baseball, there's probably a part of it that's just like you get to game, 140 to 162, and you're like, we're still here. We're still doing this thing. And it's got to be tough when you get through that and managerial changes. How did you, I guess, having so many different types of managerial styles, did you figure out one that you liked better than another? Was it as you got older, things changed for how you were handled as a player? How did that work for you?
That's a good question. I think it was just early. It was McClendon, so it was just like him, like really helping me take in all the things that is being a big leaguer and making sure I was on point. And then in the middle of my career is Jim Tracy, and we didn't get along at all. So I just did my thing. He did his thing. And then John Russell just came up to me in spring training. He's like, Jack, just run the defense, move guys where you want. Just do your thing. I was like, okay, thank you. I'll do that. Lloyd was the guy who gave me my shot, and he was awesome, and he was fiery. Obviously, a guy that had steal bases, throwing bases around. And, he was a fiery guy. He was he was passionate about winning, and And then, but like, I love Johnny Russ. He was just a cool customer, didn't say much, just say, go out there, be professional, do your job. And I kind of like that towards that in my career, because I was like, all right, cool. That's what I want to do. I want to come and do my job every day. And
Right.
but yeah, it's different too. Like, I got so focused in on what I was doing because I kind of was in charge of the defense in a sense. I would call pitches from shortstop for a lot of the pitchers because I had a certain point of view. So there was 2 or 3 starters that I could pretty much call the whole game for at shortstop, which was awesome.
Were you just using body signs?
Yeah, they just get the ball back and they turn around, and I would just do some mannerism with my glove or my hand, or just like fix my hat in a certain way, or fix my jersey or some way, or tuck in my belt or something to give them what I thought I could see, because I had the best view in the house. He's throwing a pitch, catcher's catching it. I can see that this guy's shoulders, he's stepping in the bucket, he's cheating in. Let's go cut her away. And like Josh Fogg, Jeff Karstens, those guys would just turn around and I would have Ronnie Paulino was our catcher. He'd look at me and I'd get his attention and just kind of like do something real quick on what I saw from my point of view, because that was my job. Like, I need to know what pitch is coming, what the hitter's trying to do, so I can get my reads. I was in charge of, I can move the outfielders wherever I wanted to, whatever I thought was going to happen. They had complete trust in me. So that was awesome. But that's why I never really paid attention to how many people were in the stands. It wasn't until the 7th inning when they started singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." I was like, oh man, there's a lot of people here.
Yeah, right. Like, you were there to do a thing. You were there to do a thing, and you were doing the thing.
Super hyper focused on what was happening. I would never look in the stands. Like, it was just like, this game's hard enough. Like, it's just, and you just knew Friday nights, Saturday nights were always good. Mm-hmm. If they're giving away something, that's going to be a good night. And like you said, it is a lot more fun as a player when it's a packed house. You get a lot more energy. But I felt like even if it was dressed like a seat day, it was like, all right, I'm out here trying to do it.
Never heard that before.
Yeah. So
sorry, I wasn't ready for that one. That was good. Yeah. We're gonna remember that forever.
And we would just be out there and be like, oh, that's today's giveaway, huh? Dressed like a seat. All right, cool. Packed house. But if you don't, like you said, if you don't win, who's gonna come out? It's like, you're gonna go watch the Penguins play hockey because they're awesome. Yeah. You're gonna go watch the Steelers play football because they're awesome. And if we're not awesome with them, that's why I loved watching the city in 2012, 13, and 14. I think they went 3 years in a row the wild card game, and then I think 1 year they moved on. But like, seeing that stadium with that much electricity that we had only seen from the All-Star game in 2005. So that was really cool. Like you said, it is an amazing sports town and made it really hardworking people. And I loved my time there. It was awesome.
Can we? So I've had the opportunity to go to about 22 stadiums, and PNC is one of my favorite places in the entire world to watch a baseball game. I always tell people third base side, night game, and then just watch the city light up behind all of the players. In your opinion, was that maybe your favorite place to play, even though it was your home stadium for a long time?
Well, it's funny. It's funny too, because I went back after I retired. I think actually before I got released from the Braves, and the Braves went to Pittsburgh, and Julie and I went out there because I was pretty much decided that I was going to retire. But I'm like, hey, let's go out to Pittsburgh and see some old friends, see some old teammates, and watch the Braves play. Get to see the guys, one more time, because it was a couple weeks after I got released. And that was the first time I'd ever been to PNC Park, because I've only been to the field and the clubhouse.
Yeah, that's
but I had no idea the food. I didn't know what the tunnels were like. I'd never been up there. So when that happened, then I was like, yeah, PNC is pretty much the it of the it. And then I went upstairs and did the TV with them and talked to the announcers. And then I was like, and you're way up high. I'm like, this place is unbelievable. So it's been really cool, like, following Jacob around, because like, I'm getting to go to stadiums that I've been to hundreds of times, but I've never been to as a fan. So
I love that.
Their food, I'm like, dang, Wrigley's got good food. Like, this is cool.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah, PNC is it's the cream of the crop, man. It's really nice, and it gets what it deserves. It's beautiful. They did a great job.
There's nothing like that feeling when you go to one of the older stadiums and you get to walk from the concourse through a tunnel and see the stadium like, it is in perfect condition. It's not been touched. They're watering the dirt. There's no feeling like it. When I got to go to Wrigley for the first time, and it's small. So when you go through those tunnels on the lower level, like, you almost feel like you're stepping onto the field. Yeah, it is like almost a religious feeling when you're just like, oh my God, like this
especially too once the ivy comes in, like in April it's not in yet. It's like, all right, it's okay.
It's just a ballpark.
Brick and vine. Like, but as soon as that green comes in and the lights turn on and that green kind of turns kind of fluorescent a little bit, like, all right, this is the spot. I loved Wrigley.
That's cool.
That's
You got to
awesome.
play there a lot.
I did. I got to play there a lot. Wrigley was one of my favorite. I mean, might be my favorite. I loved old Yankee Stadium. It was old and it smelled, but man, was it just like the history of the game, man. There's not. I mean, like you walked in there and you felt like you were in a history book of the. I mean, you step into home plate and it's like this is exactly where all these legendary Yankee guys stood.
Cool.
This is the view they had, and it's one of the few places you show up early just to walk around.
Yeah.
Like you just show up at 1 just to walk around and go see the monument stuff in center field. And the new Yankee Stadium's really nice, but like there's something to be said about the historic value of like a Fenway Park where you're literally getting there earlier just to walk around, which you usually don't do that in any other stadium.
Yeah.
Well, I got to go to the 18th last game at Yankee Stadium, and I don't know, at that point in time, I was probably around 11 or 12, and I remember that is the only stadium of the 22 where I've walked through the halls of the stadium, and it felt different the entire time I was
Absolutely.
there. It
Yeah.
just was, you just knew you were walking in spots where people who made this game what we love, this game, and brought the attention to it. So I think it's fascinating to hear that even on the field, you felt no different.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when those certain places that you play at, you just remember the history of the game, and it's an amazing feeling getting to step on the field the same as the guys that came before you. So it's very nostalgic for sure.
Are there any stadiums that you have yet to visit that you're excited to visit?
Ooh.
As a fan, because you may have played there,
good.
as you said.
All right, because I was trying to go through. Like, what are the new ones?
You're good.
I'm going to Toronto at the end of this month. I manage a summer ball collegiate league in Tennessee that starts from June through July in the Appalachian League. And I report at the end of this month, but I'm going to go see the A's the end of this month in Toronto because I'm going that way anyway. So might as well go a little north and then head straight down. So I'm excited to go over there because I loved playing there. It's a really cool atmosphere. I love their fans. They're really awesome. That's one of the places I'm excited to go to for sure. I got to go to Wrigley last year when he played the Cubs. And they do a good job in Sacramento, to be honest with you. I've enjoyed my time there.
I was curious.
Yeah, I liked it. I like it a lot. It's like a spring training vibe, and it's about to be 110, so I'm glad I'm not having to go out there anytime soon. But they do a good job.
Does the ball fly out of that park exactly like we all expected it was going to fly out of that park, or no?
Mm-mm. It changes from day to day. One day it's going to go, one day it's not going to go, one day it's going to die. And you have no idea when it's going to happen. You kind of get a feeling in BP what it's like, but it is not a true it's not like a true outcome. It's almost like a Wrigley. You could be hitting BP and the wind's going out, and then the game starts and the wind's blowing in. Like it's kind of that feel to it. Now I don't know how it's going to be when it gets hot. But there are some days in if that flag starts getting a little upright, like instead of droopy, you might want to dip and drive, get the ball in the air. It's going to go.
A little elevate and celebrate.
We played a game against the Rangers, and there was 8 home runs by the 5th inning, and one of them was real. One. Yeah.
One of them was?
And it was Wyatt Langford. He hit it all right. That's the only one so far that actually is real. There was a couple doubles that just kind of got out of the yard. Right center, right field's really short. But then there was just a bunch of flyouts that just never came down. And that was just one of the days that the wind was just howling. So
I like the ones in right field where the wall is like hip high.
Dude, yes. Yeah, just step across the plate as a righty, tomahawk a fastball away, and just go that way. But that's just because the wind was blowing that day, towards right field, but then it could blow directly the opposite the next day. So it's literally the guys, if you talk to the A's, they're like, we have no idea. Until we show up and we have no idea what it's going to do today. So it's really it's kind of like a Wrigley where it's like, all right, we'll see what inning it is and where the wind shifts. It's kind of the same thing.
That's wild.
I love that.
I know Ryan and I were talking about this a lot. We've talked about this forever, and the league has talked about this forever. Obviously, you and Jacob are not the first father-son duo to have played in the major leagues, but there's some sense of this idea of pedigree that people always talk about with guys that are coming up, had a dad who played in the big leagues and maybe got to spend some time around a big league ball club. How much of the first 10 years of Jacob's life do you think were impacted on getting to be around near a ballpark? How much was he? And do you think that helped when he first got to the big leagues, kind of just knowing how to handle himself, how to be in a big league locker room and all those sorts of things?
Oh, I think you absolutely. I was talking to a scout when they were starting to look at him sophomore year at JCU, and he said, "Do you realize that a player that comes from a major league father has a 350% higher chance of making it to the big leagues?" And he said it's that much of a difference just because of the way they've grown up, the knowledge that they're able to obtain at such a young age and through their life from their dad, being able to learn from the best coaches in the game, And so I was like, wow, that's a really high percentage. That's up there.
Yeah, I had heard that a long time ago.
And I think last year, like his level of comfortability is something I cannot identify with. Something that took me 3-4 years to obtain. He has now. He loves hitting with the game on the line. He loves hitting with guys to score in position. He is not ever. And the funny thing is, what took me the longest time was getting over the name on the mound was really difficult for me. When I went out there and I'm like, gosh dang, it's Verlander today. Like it's Justin freaking Verlander. And and I loved facing those guys. But in those first few years, it's like Kurt Schilling, Randy Johnson in like a series against the Diamondbacks. And the name itself was just like intimidating.
Those are names.
The younger player.
Those are big names.
Jacob could care less. All he sees is RHP or left HP, fastball this, slider this. He does not care. And it's like, how do you do that? I still care, and I don't even play anymore. It's just the calmness that he has, and I think that's helped him a lot. The calmness that he has is very rare for him, but the fact that guy was in diapers coming to PNC Park.
Yeah.
That guy has been to almost every big league stadium as a kid sitting, watching his dad. We traveled a lot. My wife and traveled with our kids. We stayed together, so we traveled a lot. So they've been to all the stadiums, and he had like this little souvenir bat collection from like every stadium he went to. And the guy always had a bat in his hand. We would go, and in spring training would come. I'd stay after spring training. We'd go hit. I'd take him to the field early with me on days, and we'd go out to center field and hit batting practice, and he'd try to hit home runs. I would just get a certain distance to how far he could hit it, and I'd throw him BP with like big league balls, and he'd be out there with his little metal bat hitting. So, like being in a big league stadium and being surrounded by people, like he threw the first pitch out in 2005, I think, got in front of everybody, and like he's like, "Oh, you just want me to throw a strike? Okay." And I'm like, and it's on video, and it's just like. And I'm thinking, I'm like telling, and he was just like, whatever. Oh, okay. You want me? Like, it's a packed house because it was my bobblehead night. So packed house.
Heck yeah,
that's awesome.
Wham, and just drill, boom. I'm like, all right, you just made me the coolest dad ever.
Right.
That's awesome, dude.
I feel like there's. I was just gonna say, I feel like there's a level at which, like, for you when you're playing at that level, the quote unquote fundamentals of the game are different.
Yes.
Right, the things you think about day to day, the things that are second nature to you. So what you then pass on to him at 10 years old is like how to work through an at bat, how to understand what pitchers are throwing, how to position yourself on the field. Whereas most 10-year-olds are learning like, hey, here's how you hold your glove up instead of down to catch a ball. And so all of a sudden it starts from a better point.
I think it's the fundamental stuff and watching the drive. So he was born in 2002. So he had 10 years of me playing, but he also got 10 years of watching me train in the off season. So in 2005, I bought a horse property and completely bulldozed the whole thing and turned it into a baseball facility. So I had a full infield in my backyard, a full tennis court, basketball court, gym, batting cage. So everything that I needed to train in was in my backyard. And he saw me train. Like, he could look outside in his, like, little onesie or whatever and just watch me ground ball, ground ball, ground ball, ground ball. And so it's not just watching Dad playing. It was watching Dad work in the offseason and what it took to get to that level. And now when he gets a certain age, he knows. He's seen it firsthand what it takes to be above and beyond what other people might work at. Like, the desire to be great. I always say, if you want to be good, just go to practice. If you want to be great, it's the stuff you do that nobody sees, the stuff you do on your own. And when you're a professional baseball player, a lot of that stuff you're doing on your own. You might have a trainer or a guy hitting you fungos or a guy catching first base, but a lot of your training is on you to make sure you can do your craft. So not only does the stuff that we teach him about the game and footwork and all that stuff, it's a lot about him seeing the work that goes into it rather than just watching Dad play during the season. So I think that has a lot to do with it too. But I think the best thing about Jacob was he was always very coachable. He was always open to anything I had for him. And going through those teenage years, that Dad's not.
Yeah,
That's tough to find.
He was always like open to anything I had to say. And to this day, we talk every night. If he wants to talk baseball, he breaks down something.
Awesome.
He just sent me the scouting report on what he's going to try to do against Logan Webb tonight. And he's like,
and your response was, "Good luck." No.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you got him, bro. Let's go.
Yeah. You're sitting there like, hey, you got a better shot than I do. Sounds
Well,
good.
I think the biggest thing, like, I'm probably coaching him the most now than anything other before, and it's just how to deal with being your first year. I mean, the conversations we have really aren't about physical things. It's about, like, we goes to the Dodgers, right? He goes 4 for 5, his 2 home runs in his homecoming debut at Dodger Stadium, right? And we're all there, and it go crazy.
Yeah.
Then he goes 0 for 4 and 0 for 3, right? And doesn't really hit any ball hard, doesn't really make solid contact, right? So in his mind, he's 0 for his last 7 and whatever. And my first conversation to him last night after the game was, well, actually, if I tell you you're gonna go to LA, the $1 billion team, the best team in baseball, you're gonna go there, you're gonna hit 333, you're gonna drive in 4, and you're gonna hit 2 homers. If I told you that was gonna be the case before the series started, would you take it?
Absolutely.
So who cares that you're 0 for 7? You just went 4 for 12, and you had, whether it was one game or the other 2 were blowouts anyways. It's not like you let the team down in a huge situation. There was 2 blowouts. The Dodgers decided to just like, we'll let you win game 1, but we're going to go.
Right. Otani decided he was actually going to hit the next 2 games.
Yes, I'm like Shohei, and like everybody just started going tank ball. So I was like, okay, but it's a way for him, and I tell a lot of players now, the way to deal with failure is to go as far back as you can to find positivity. Like, you're not 0 for 7, you're 4 for your last 12. And on top of that, you're 7 for your last 24. So I can keep going and make it so, like, I'm always going to focus on anything that's going to make it positive. It's not about the last 2 days. Show me your last 7, and you'll feel a lot better about yourself.
Yeah.
So
especially as quick as the major league season goes and as many at bats as you like. I forget who was saying the other day, like they only ever thought about it in months. And as soon as a month.
So I was going to bring that up next. Ian Desmond brought that up on the Nationals broadcast recently because he was talking about Dylan Cruz, similar to the way you were earlier, and he said, if you take too large of a sample size or too small of a sample size, you put yourself in this where you don't have the ability to get yourself out mentally. And he's like, I took every season was 1 month because I knew it was about 100 at bats, plate appearances, and it was a manageable number. And then once that month was done, throw it out the window, and I'm starting over.
That's fantastic. Absolutely, you have to. I mean, you can't. Because bottom line, whatever it says on the scoreboard is not always going to be reflective of what you're doing. And like the scoreboard, and my father-in-law is really funny. He's like all about stats, and Jacob had his like 4th hit and it got up to like 360. He's like 360. I said, Papa, just understand, your average changes every day until the season's over.
Yep.
So 360 is 360. It's cool, but it's like it's just, especially early on when there's only 100, 150 at bats. It's going to fluctuate quite a bit. I was like, the final number is the one that gets put on the back of the card. It doesn't say at this time in this month it was. But I love what Ian Desmond said there because that's absolutely true. You have to, by doing that too, it's also important to set realistic goals throughout the year that could change. Right. Because the beginning of the year, you could say, like, what are your goals? And you'd be like, I want to hit 300, I want to hit 10, I want to drive in 75, whatever it may be. I want to make this many errors. But if you get to a point where that becomes maybe not so obtainable, you have to change or you exceed. If you want to say, I want to hit 300, and at the break you're hit 330, you should not be still saying you want to hit 300.
1,000%.
You have to change your goal, both positive and negative. And it was like some of the best goals I made were when, like, my favorite year, this is what I talk about the most. They always ask about 2004. Like, great.
Of course.
2004, the first 2 months was I could swing at anything, and it would be a swing and bunt. It would be a blooper. I'd drive the ball. I couldn't get out if I tried. It's just one of those things. And for the next 4 months, I rode the wave of hitting 400 in my first 2 months. I rode the wave. So when I was 0 for 4, oh, darn, I'm hitting 370 now. Yeah. Like, it was really – 2004 was one of the easier seasons I've ever played because it was a 2-month hot streak that I just kind of rode out. And I actually got to, like, 301. And, like, with, like, a month left, I was like, oh, like, I better
figure that out.
I need to do something. And I ended up at 308, which was great. But I think it was 2008. I think I hit 292, but I was 240 at the half.
2007, you hit 296.
There it is, 2007. 296. Even better. I just gained 4 points.
Heck yeah.
There you go.
Give yourself some credit here, Jack. Come on now.
So that first half, I was at 240. And my goal was to be like, all right, I am going to get to 285. And it's going to be a lot because I'm already at 200 some at bats. But I'm like, I'm going to get after it. And I think I was third in the league in batting average the entire second half. Wow. And that was the year that I was the most proud about. It wasn't the Silver Slugger or the All-Star. That season was like, I made up my mind at the break, like, all right, this is it. I'm going to get after it. I spent a lot of time in that All-Star break just swinging and figuring it out. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to go off. I'm going to go off this second half. I'm going to finish strong. So when I was trying to get to 300, I was so close. I was like 2 games away.
There's something so satisfying to like, putting your mind to something, but knowing that like you're doing it at the highest level and just basically saying like, no, I can do this. I'm going to do this. And then starting to see the results start to cascade in and the dominoes start to fall and you're like, oh, I'm doing this. Like this thing's happening.
I mean, this game, like it's all staying confident. Like you had 2 choices. Can I wall around that I'm hitting 240 at the break while I'm at home hanging out for an All-Star break? Or can I get to work and put a new goal into place and be relentless in that goal?
Well,
that's going to take early hitting. That's going to take a lot of extra work to make sure that I can hold myself accountable to that goal. It's not just going to fall in my plate. I'm not all of a sudden just going to start. And then I think I hit like 8 or 9 homers in that second half too.
12 home runs that year, my friend. That was the most you hit that in your entire career in a single season.
And they were I think there were 8 in the second half. I think I only had 4 in the first. So it was just, that was the season I'm like, that's the season I'm most proud of, is just because that was really difficult to just say like, all right, fine. I'm going to flip the script. I'm just going to get after it and turn this thing around. And it was hard work, and it ended up working out. I remember that end of that season going, that was freaking awesome. I was like, that was all mind power. That was all just like, no, I'm not. I refuse to let this happen. And it was really cool.
Ryan and I are now at the point in our career where we play Sunday men's league.
Listen,
and when we thoroughly enjoy it, but what you just said there, where it's all mental. When we were kind of like in the wintertime, hitting in the cages, getting prepped for it, and he asked me at one point, he's like, what are you working on? And I was like, I'm now at a point in my progression where I'm just trying to feel a flow. Like, I just want to feel the flow of my swing. And if I feel the flow of my swing, then it's about me seeing the ball out of the pitcher's hand, making good decisions, and just taking that swing. But it's all up here. It's all because I feel like my body's going to do the right thing, and I don't have to, like, try and be in the right position. But it's so interesting how we can get out of that so fast as hitters because something doesn't work or we want to do something better and we try to make a little bit of a change, and then we're all of a sudden stuck in this place of like, how do I make sure I'm making that change and I'm in the right spot and I'm doing X, Y, Z? And part of our preparation, actually, funny enough, I switch hit, but I've never been a very good right-handed hitter. And
I forgot about this. This is great. Sorry,
So I say to him, maybe one day I was just like, I think I need to just open up my body a little bit more so I can see the ball.
There you go.
And so we were watching a game. We were watching an A's game, and I noticed Jacob's swing, and I was like, oh, he's like wide open. Yeah. And I was just like, and we got into one of the first games and happened to be facing a lefty. So I get up there right-handed, and he sees that I just get in my normal stance, and he goes, open your stance. And I just immediately and then in my mind, I'm just like, I'm just going to be Jacob Wilson here.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to do.
And then he went 2 for 4. Let's throw out there that he hit 2 balls really hard.
It did work.
Because you are right-eye dominant.
Yes.
That's why you
right-eye
see
dominant
from the left side, and then you have to open up from the right side. That's why Jacob opens up to get 2 eyes on the ball.
Yeah.
So you're right-eye dominant. It's awesome.
Boom.
Yes.
Look at that.
And I will say this. I'll be honest with you. I do play in the over 45 World Series in Arizona every year.
Oh, heck
yeah. So I was out there playing in the 18 and over division last year, one of the lower ones. We were in the second from lowest of the 418 divisions. We did win, too, which was pretty sick. That was pretty awesome.
It's awesome.
It's beautiful. Tempe Diablo was sick. I mean, the whole – that's awesome. I played as a very broken baseball player nowadays. I played 40 innings at shortstop that weekend, and it was and I was already a little bit messed up. But,
that's a long week.
I love it.
I catch and hit left-handed. So I do everything I wanted to do that I couldn't
Do you really?
How do you?
I do.
Hold
I
on,
do.
tell us more about
Yeah,
this.
what?
I just hit lefty and I catch, and I play outfield. They asked me to play infield. I'm like, that was my job. I'm not here to work. I'm here to
Do you
play.
play? Do you?
I was like,
Yes.
Did
do you want to
hit
go back to
left-handed
your
ever
office
growing
right
up?
now? Because I don't. I was like, I've played enough shortstop in my life. I'm
That's
fine.
crazy.
And I catch. I love catching because I love calling pitches, like I told you guys.
Yeah,
I love
dude.
putting the gear on. I hit lefty because I'm like, I'm not gonna hit righty because if I'm like, that's not fun for me. Like
It's not fair.
yeah,
It's
I
not
got to
fair
hit
for
righty.
everybody.
Like, so I hit, but I was drafted as a switch hitter. I just wasn't very good at it, so I stopped. But I got drafted, and my
Fun
first
fact
10
of the
at-bats
day.
in pro ball were left-handed, and I was like,
I did not
when
know
I was in
that.
the Appy League and rookie ball, I'm like, yeah, I don't like this. These guys are going to carve me up. I'm just going to hit righty. So,
No
but
shit.
yeah,
That's
and then I'll pitch. I'll like come in and close and just
Heck
throw
yeah.
hard
Are you
as I
still
can.
hitting bombs left?
How
are
hard?
you
How?
hitting bombs
Well,
left-handed?
okay, go ahead.
Every now and then, I definitely had a lot more power left-handed. Being a right-handed thrower, you
Okay.
get more of that pull side, and it's definitely
That's
an
me.
up and down type swing. My
Yep.
righty's more here, obviously, and then my lefty was more loopy. So, but it's just a challenge too. I love it. Like
That's
and
awesome.
we had there's probably 13 or 14 ex big leaguers during that tournament.
That's
The
sick.
pitchers come back, and we had Corey Hart was on our team.
Oh,
that
yeah.
guy was on contract. So we would just hit and just walk off the field if we didn't want to run bases. So we'd just be like, all right, runner.
I played one summer in college. I played in the Summer Woodback Collegiate World Series in Kansas. And there's-
NBC.
yeah, I played in the
Those are
NBC
fun.
World Series.
Yeah.
There's always a team, a collection of ex big leaguers that put a team together that get to play in that tournament, and everyone shows up to watch it. And
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's these guys, and if they don't hit a ball in the gap,
Yeah.
or if it doesn't go over the fence, they're just not running.
No.
They hit a
Yeah,
ground ball. They hit a ground ball. They walk back to the dugout.
We did that, yeah. So I was on two of those teams that we came back. Adam LaRoche was the head of that thing. We were the
Yes,
Kansas
he
Stars.
was.
And we played there for 2 years. We lost in the semi 1 year, and then we went back and then beat the piss out of everybody.
Oh, that's awesome.
But we had nasty pitching. I mean, freaking, that was a fun time. But we were trying to, I guess the NBC was kind of losing their kind of fanfare of that tournament, so they asked
When
us
was
to
that?
do it. This was maybe, I would guess to say maybe 7-8 years ago. It was, we had Brad Penny. We had.
Were you there, Flax?
What's that?
I was there.
He might have been there.
I was there.
Yeah, I played.
Yeah, I was
so-
definitely there.
Yeah, I played short. We had let's see, we had Brandon Inge was our third baseman. We had Ryan
That's
Langerhans.
crazy.
We had we had a great team. We had a blast doing it too. They gave us the clubhouse, and we did all our stuff there, and we got all the
Brad
7
Penny-
o'clock prime time
Brad
games.
Penny started an All-Star game, right? I'm
Oh, yeah,
not
Brad
crazy.
Penny's nasty.
Yeah,
He's still going
Brad
hard.
Penny started an All-Star game. Got a
We had,
whole
Jeremy Guthrie
All-Star
was
left
sitting,
side of the
91,
infield.
92. Jeremy Guthrie was nasty.
Oh yeah.
And the kids couldn't hit the movement on the fastball. Like the guys those big league pitchers can manipulate the ball so well, and that was the biggest thing. It wasn't velo; it was just the fact that they could just
And
pitch.
they manipulate the zone. They manipulate the
Yes.
zone so well. They know how to throw pitches. They know how to throw off speeds that we as younger hitters are so used to only ever seeing buried at the top of the
Yes.
zone. They'll throw a
Yep.
slider that just hits the top of the zone and is clearly a strike, but out of the hand you've never seen anything like it. Or they'll throw a
Yeah.
splitter that just hits the upper outside corner of the plate, and you're like, who would throw that?
Yeah,
And they would
that's
never
why-
throw that there in a big league game, but they know you're not
No.
touching it.
Yeah. That was fun. What team were you with?
I was on the I was playing for the Park City Rangers. We were like one of
Okay.
the few teams that came out of the KCLB that then
Okay.
ended up getting merged with the Jayhawk League. So it
Oh,
was
the
one
old
of the
kids. Yeah.
two.
So
Yeah, it was one of
I
the
played
two.
for the
It was
Hayes-
one of the
I played
two
for the Hayes
Woodbat
Larks
leagues.
when I was playing for the Hayes Larks when I was in college in
There you
that
go.
Kansas Jayhawk League. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah. That's a great tournament. That's a lot of fun. Just don't lose because you're playing at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, so Ryan, the whole thing is that
Tell
it's
me more.
24 hours. It's a 24-hour tournament.
Oh.
So they played at this field. I don't even know if they still do it, but there used to be an independent league team there called the Wichita Wingnuts.
Yeah.
And they had their own. They had a really nice stadium, big stadium with a turf field and everything and lights. And it was just 24 hours. Teams would just
Yep.
roll in there and play games. It was wild.
Don't
Yeah, I played a
lose.
game that started at like 11 p.m.
Do not go in the losers bracket because it's a late night.
That sounds fun
That was
and
the-
terrible
That
all at
was
the
the
same
summer.
time.
That was the
Just don't
summer.
lose.
That was the summer my coach told me everyone wants to throw a fastball for a strike. Get up there and learn how to hit a fastball.
Yeah.
That changed
No doubt.
changed my hitting for the rest of my college career.
Absolutely.
So, so you're Jack. We appreciate a ton of time here. We've got some fun ones for you here, real quick, that we definitely want to hammer home, man. And one of them is we've got a new thing we're doing, and it's kind of our little stat of the day for you. And we're curious to see if you knew this stat that relates to your career, and if you didn't, it sounds like your father-in-law might. So you never know. Make sure to ask him this later.
Okay.
So you're the year that everybody likes to talk about for you. You hit more triples than you hit home runs.
Yes.
Did you know that you are not the only person with the last name Wilson to achieve that feat?
For the Pirates.
For the Pirates, yeah.
For the Pirates.
Oh, yeah.
Triples than home runs?
More triples than home runs
for the Pirates. And if you know this, it'll be the most shocking thing we've heard all week.
Yeah, it goes back a ways.
About in my lifetime, or is this going way back?
Way back.
So is it Hack Wilson?
So it is not. It is.
RBI record. He's got the RBI record, right? Like 160 something ribbies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So in 1912, John Owen, and his nickname was Chief Wilson, had 36 triples and 11 home runs for the Pirates.
Dude, we just brought out something pre-Titanic. Did we really just?
Come on, we gotta do something good.
Like that question, like I was like,
We
man,
just-
is
we
it-
gotta-
I'm
we-
thinking,
we
like,
gotta
oh,
know-
was it, who played? It was like Enrique Wilson played, and I'm like, now we're talking about literally
Oh, yeah.
before the
We just
Titanic.
got to know how deep your history goes.
Listen, man, you're a Medal of Honor guy. We had to bring it back to some type of wartime. It's just what it is.
That is. Were we at war that long ago? I mean, that was. I think we were done.
1912?
Like, it was after that, right? I don't know, but hey, that's good to know.
And,
My
yeah.
father-in-law
Chief
definitely
Wilson.
doesn't know that. I 100%.
Yeah, Chief Wilson.
36
There you go.
triples though is pretty impressive.
Right?
Yeah, that was the old. Was it? What was the name of the old? No.
Was that the
what
dead
name
ball
of the
era?
field? The,
Oh,
well,
no, it was huge.
The stadium was like a big rectangle.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so you could
I
hit
got
it in the gaps and run for days. Not like the old polo ground.
Forbes
That was-
Field.
Forbes Field with really big gaps.
Yep.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
he could run. But still, it
Yeah.
was more impressive at that time, though. Even more impressive, him hitting 11 homers.
I was about to say,
11
what's
home
the
runs.
11 home runs?
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
11. How many doubles did he have?
He was laying the barrel.
That's a
on it.
great question.
Like,
I don't
wanna
think
say-
we even looked.
He had like 7 because he just wouldn't stop at second. He's like, nope, not my thing. I do triples only. Triples and homers.
36 triples is.
But
He
11
had
homers is a
19
lot.
doubles.
That's a good year.
His slug
Yeah,
must have been
dude.
pretty high.
513. He was 8th in the
high.
MVP voting in 1912.
Wait, what's 513?
Slug.
He slugged 513.
Okay.
Yes.
What was his batting average? That'd be
Yeah, so his slash line was 300, 342, and 513. So
pretty good.
he kind of raked a little bit. He only stole
Yeah.
16 bases, but when you triple
standing on
36
third base. Where's
times,
he gonna steal?
you don't have anything to steal.
There's nothing to steal. You're right. That's nuts. Good for that dude. Probably
Right.
RIP. I'm guessing RIP, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably.
but he was a dog. When he was here, he was a dog. Let me tell you what.
You put up those type of numbers. That's pretty good.
Okay, I got one other one for you. We were just doing our research.
Is this
I
post
noticed-
Titanic? Is it post?
No.
Oh.
When you're
No, it is.
It's
gotta be
yes,
post.
Yes, it is.
Yes, sorry, it is. Yes, it is post Titanic. We're doing our research on you, and when your third child was born,
Ooh,
it ended up being a People magazine story.
really?
Yes, and you had a quote in there about why you named
Wait, hold on.
your child
Oh, okay.
Jersey.
Yes, I know this. I think I know this quote. I was like, my wife's around the corner. Let me make sure she can't hear this. I didn't know what I said.
It said MLB celebrity baseball player has third child.
Celebrity. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
In People
So I
magazine.
didn't know if you remembered that happening or if there was any if it just got picked up by them, but yeah, it was a nice quote about how you got to choose the name because it was a girl, and you tried to come up with something that was a little bit somewhat baseball-ish.
I'm thinking at this point in time, really wasn't much going on in the world for People magazine to drop that one on a Pittsburgh Pirate. I'm
have
just
to
going to
think,
go ahead
right?
and say that there was, Brad Pitt was doing something else. Something had to be going on for them to really be like, dude, let's talk about this guy naming his kid Jersey.
Well, what year was it? What year would your third
It's
kid have been
2007.
born?
It was 2007. It was the good year.
Okay.
It was a really good
Yeah.
year, but I
I was
missed.
about to say, there's a reason why they talked about you. Do you remember your second half, Jack? Come
Well,
on.
I do know that I missed the birth. I didn't make it in time.
Oh, no.
Oh
So
God.
that was really nice to go over.
Sorry, I brought that back
Listening
up.
to my wife in labor on the phone while I'm sitting on the jetway trying to get there.
Oh, no.
That was
Wow.
awesome. And then I'm
Wow, so
showing
the
up
peop-
like a visitor, like, oh, hi, I'm your dad. First time. Sorry, I'm like 6
to meet
hours
you.
late.
Why? Every interview we do, I seem to come up with a question that leads to something like this. Like we had Tim Kirkson on, and I asked him about what jersey number he would wear because he always asks people why they would wear certain jersey numbers, and he said he would have worn the jersey number that his brother wore, who died of ALS, and it like. I was just like, of course, I asked a question that led to him having to talk about this subject. So I asked a question that led to you having to talk about missing the birth of your third child. So I apologize.
That's all right. She's over.
Ba-
She's fine now. She's 17. So
She's not holding it over you anymore.
she's not. She's not.
That's
We're
good.
good.
That's good.
I love to
We
hear
made
that.
amends. It took a while, but we made amends.
She remembered every moment of that day, too,
fine.
of course.
She's like, every time I show up late, she's like, this has been like this from the beginning. Like, you told me you'd be here after practice at 6, just like you should have been there when I came out the womb. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. Well,
Do you still live at the home where you guys have the field and everything where you trained?
Just sold it about 6 months ago. We moved out here to Arizona 3 years ago. I was at GCU for 1 year as a coach, so we moved out here for that. And then we just stayed. We just really liked it here. And, you know, it worked out perfect that when Jacob got drafted by the A's, it's like 25 minutes away from where we live is the spring training site. So it was like perfect. It was really cool how it all worked out. And now he's getting married this December, so he's going to be out of the house.
Congratulations.
We're going to miss him. Thanks. Yeah, she's a softball player from U of A. She's actually playing tonight at regional. So yeah,
That's awesome.
all right.
awesome. She's really cool. Yeah.
We love to hear that. Well, your videos of you and him in the backyard
Yeah,
on
the
your
viral
field.
video.
I mean, they went viral for a good reason, man. That was awesome to get to see you two sharing that and just doing your thing.
That was our
There's nothing else
thing.
to
We
it.
did that. We did that a ton. We still do. It's pretty fun. That was like COVID and nothing was happening. So like a local reporter asked if we would film some stuff. I'm like, we got nothing else to do, so we're just training. So we turned on the old Fungo Man machine and got after it. So and it still pops up every now and then. It's crazy.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
They're like, wow, is he supposed to be playing right now? I'm like, it's a guy that was like 4 years ago. I'm like, dude, what are you
I
know?
could be way off base on this, but I think doesn't JJ Hardy have a similar setup out there in Arizona?
I was there literally 5 days ago.
There you
He
go.
just built it. He had me over to give him ideas on like, hey, what do I do next? And I'm like,
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Dude.
yeah. So we were talking about stuff like, man, my dad built a dugout. We had a dugout by our field. We had a little dugout for the kids could put their stuff, and we'd have like little team meetings. So all of our practices
awesome.
back there. When he was a kid, all of our practices were back there. We never rented a field. We put up lights. We had lights on the field, and he's got lights. So JJ's kids are going through that now. They're in those ages. So I went over to his place, and we were just kind of swapping like kind of ideas on what I had in California and what he's got now. JJ's an awesome person, man. He's fun.
Talk about another machine at shortstop.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
He was awesome. He was on it, man. He had some crazy pop too for a little guy. He could let it launch. I was
Strictly
so
pull side.
jealous.
Pull side.
Yeah, I'm like, man. He had 3 gold gloves. I got second place 5 times. I was like, so technically I don't like him that much, but he's a great. But I don't want to see your crap on the mantle like about your gold gloves, all right? 'Cause I have 5 silver gloves at home that are invisible, but I count them.
They count. Listen.
I count them. I think he won a silver slugger too, so I was like, yeah, whatever. It's all good.
I think he
bro.
won one.
You're like, I did that as well, and I didn't even like that year. So like,
it's not even my favorite.
Yeah, it wasn't even a fun year. It was like I just rode the wave.
Oh, God.
I love that. Listen, Jack, you've been awesome, man. And one of the things that we really try to do here is remind people that you got to go to the ballpark every day as your job, and you made mention to that. And we, as just everyday people, do the same thing, right? And you've done a great job today too of helping our audience recognize that you showed up to work every day, just like everybody else does on a regular basis. You worked your ass off to be as good as possible at your job, and then you went home and you went to bed or wherever that home was that night. And I really appreciate getting to continue to know that we're not off base on that, and that everybody is just trying to make their way and make it through. There's been a lot of things in the media about the way people have been treated, and Lance McCullers was at the forefront of this, and things like this always remind me that the humanity of everybody in these scenarios is so important to remember. That you guys have a kids and family, and you're so excited. We came here to talk about you, and I think we asked one question about Jacob, and we talked about Jacob a lot, but it's the reminder that is part of it. So I really appreciate getting to talk to you. And I'm excited to get to see you in Arizona potentially then when we're out there as well at the same time.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. Like really cool conversation, great questions. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. We appreciate it, man.
You guys do a great job. I enjoy following your guys' stuff.
Oh,
thanks, Jack.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it. We are, if you couldn't tell, if you looked back a little bit, we happen to be big fans of your son's ability to play baseball, and I don't expect that to change anytime soon because you've obviously done a great job as a father listening to his interviews, and not only that, but your son rakes, and he can play much better shortstop than people are wanting to give him credit for so far.
Yes. I know. I know.
You set a high standard, Jack. You set a high standard.
I know. I just think that he's doing great, and that's what I care about the most too. I'm like, man, hitting. That's the position, man. No matter what, you're hitting, you're not hitting. You gotta take care of your pitchers, man. Just take care of your pitchers and shortstop.
Yeah.
Get the ground ball, man. So it's a really important part of the game. He in that game, he went 4 for 5 and 2 homers. He made an error and he was livid. He was pissed off.
I feel
love
like
that.
even though they turned a double play right after that to get out of the inning.
Yes, he's just like, dude. Like, it's just, they would have been absolute perfection if I could have just made that play. And that's what I love about him. Like, he understands. He's like, he wants to, that's a part of his game he takes a lot of pride in that doesn't get talked about, and that's okay. But if you're hitting 360, I ain't talking about your defense either. So, sorry.
We had a large, long conversation about Pete Alonso this offseason when everybody cared about his defense. And we were pretty big on turns out now that he's hitting 330, nobody cares.
Yeah.
No one cares.
All of a sudden, just right down the toilets.
No doubt.
Either way. Jack, thank you so much again. We've appreciated your time today, and we'd love to have you on again at some point in time in the future. But, good luck with everything you've got going on right now, and obviously good luck to your son as well.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Flex, we had so much fun doing that interview. I mean, I felt super lucky to be able to be in the room with him and somebody who was just so knowledgeable in baseball and was just excited to sit there and have a baseball conversation.
Well, we talked about this. There was a point, and I hope that everybody kind of felt the same way, but there was a point where you could kind of see the conversation start to open up. And our goal here in these interviews is not to sit here and do question and answer. Our goal here is to ask a question and let it cascade into a discussion, because we want you as the listener to feel like you're a part of that discussion as well. And he was such a great guest from that standpoint. The way that he engages in those discussions, he is a true baseball guy. You said it to him. One of the grittiest players that we got to grow up watching, and you can tell like that's the way he engages in the game still, as Jacob Wilson's dad, but also just as a fan of now the Athletics. It was just enjoyable. And we were lucky enough to spend some time with him after the interview and just continue talking and chatting baseball for a little while. And he just gets it, and he's got his own ideas, which is really fun, and he's willing to share them. He adds that vulnerability of speaking to somebody who's willing to give you their opinion, which is nice.
I agree. So, Jack, thank you so much again for coming on the pod. We hope to have you on again at some point in time. But moving right along as we do, Flax, we're going to end this on the best season you've never heard of. And you have a really good one this week, and I have one that'll just make you smile.
This is one of my favorite segments that we do. It's like this and Will They, Won't They? Is that what we call it? I think it's Will They, Won't They? These are my two favorite because this is just baseball education at its finest. And these are like the little facts that I personally pick up over time that just kind of stick. And I'm not quite sure how I came across this one. But the 1996 season of one Lance Johnson. For those who don't know, Lance Johnson, born in July of 1963 from Cincinnati, Ohio's own, absolutely went off. He played the most games he's ever played, 160 of them, 724 plate appearances. In the most plate appearances he has ever had, he hit 333, OBP of 362, and he slugged 479 for an OPS of 841. It was his lone year as an all-star. He was intentionally walked 8 different times. He had 227 hits. Within that, 9 home runs, 21 triples led the league. That was his 5th time leading the league in triples, by the way. 31 doubles, scored 117 runs with 69 RBIs, and 50 stolen bases in 62 attempts. Just an unbelievable year. And to match that, he was almost 1-to-1 ratio on strikeouts to Ks with only 40 strikeouts. This man only struck out 40 times in 724 plate appearances. So, for those of you who didn't know about Lance Johnson, he played for a smattering of teams, but at his shortest stint but highest WAR per stint was with the New York Mets for 2 years, in which he had those 2 seasons. But he was also with the White Sox, the Cubs, the Cardinals, and the Yankees for a short period of time.
Love it. Dude, I had never heard of this season at all by any means when you brought this up. Now, to be fair to me, I was all of 1 year old, so I mean, there's probably a reason.
14-year big leaguer.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that is, but also to go into New York, and do that.
Yeah. He was a really fast guy. He was really fast. What would you think his jersey number was for being a really fast guy?
Like 1.
Yeah, it was 1.
Heck yeah. Let's go, baby. Come on, that's all I've been.
I knew you'd get that.
I love it. All right,
Awesome.
I'm gonna bring you back to our childhood down in Baltimore, Maryland, and that's when Steve Pearce and his 2014 season with the Baltimore Orioles. And
AL East Merchant.
Listen, guys. Steve Pearce, drafted out of the University of South Carolina. He played for the Pirates when he first came up. Never really had the ability at the time with them to stick, and he faced a lot of injuries. I mean, this is a guy who you knew he had it there, and let me explain to you. He might have been 5'11", 200 pounds, but you want to talk about a guy who could absolutely demolish baseballs? Yep. Steve Pearce. But why are we talking about his 2014 season? And here's why. In 102 games, Steve Pearce accumulated 5.8 WAR. In only 383 plate appearances, he hit 26 doubles and 21 home runs, slashing 293, 373, and 556 for an OPS plus of 157 and a WOBA of 415. Jeez. For one season, over 102 games, Steve Pearce was a top 5 hitter in baseball. And most of you probably didn't know that.
Steve Pearce was a big part of that 2014 Orioles team.
Listen, he is a guy who had a knack for coming in clutch when teams needed it to, and it was always with the long ball. He did it throughout his career, whether he was in Baltimore, Toronto, Tampa Bay. Pearce is one of those underrated journeyman-type players who had 13 years in the league that a lot of people wouldn't realize how good he was, and I do believe some of the injuries he had and dealt with had a lot to do with why we didn't see more Steve Pearce growing up. But 2014 Steve Pearce, dog. Well, that's what we got for you guys today. We hope you enjoyed the interview. Enjoy this week of baseball. We will see you guys shortly next week. I don't know. Go listen to stuff. Follow, like, subscribe, like Flax always likes to say, and I'll remember to do it this week. But we're here. We appreciate you guys. Have a great week.
Peace.